All right, so the main reason for purchasing a kayak to fish along the coast of Louisiana is really for access purposes. You're either going to be accessing water that lots of boats can't get into, or the kayak is going to help you get off the shoreline and into some of the areas boaters fish. So if you've never owned a fish finder, you might be wondering if owning one will help you to catch fish. And for anglers fishing saltwater areas of Louisiana, that's really going to depend on how you use your kayak. If you purchased it to only fish shallow water areas and you'll never target fish in water deeper than 3 feet, then owning a finder or buying a finder, you really don't need it. You're going to rely more on sight and sound to locate probably redfish if you're fishing that shallow. That's probably the species that you're after. Um, and if you're not, you're probably not having a lot of success. So, being that you are relying more on your senses, there's really no need to own a finder. In shallow water, these fish finders don't, a lot of times they don't work. So they're not going to read or return any kind of reading because the water is just too shallow. But if you're fishing in areas with your kayak that boaters are fishing also, so places that are 4, 5, or even 6 feet deep, then owning a finder may be something that you want to consider. And here's why. The two basic ways which you'll use a fish finder here in Louisiana are either to locate fish and have them display on the screen, or to locate things that specific fish like relating to. So in deeper water, you can use a finder in many different ways. Um, you might want to locate bait fish in the water column that may have reds, specks, or flounder feeding along the edges of the school of bait fish, or the fish that you're after. So these red specks and flounders, they may be sitting in deeper water just below a ledge. And you might need to know where the drop off into deeper water is so that you can put your bait or your lure in front of them. Or another scenario is that you may want to locate something different in an area that attracts fish, such as an oyster reef. So these are just a few scenarios and places where the fish we target are when they aren't along shorelines or in well-known places. These places are where you will need a finder to locate these fish that are behaving in these manners. In areas where water depths range from, let's say, 4 to 8 feet deep, a finder is used for locating specific things which are submerged. These things would be like land features that extend away from the shoreline, or things like oyster reef, submerged vegetation, and even different bottom hardnesses like mud, sand, or gravel. There's a lot of underwater features that the fish and the things that they eat hang around. But without a finder, most kayak anglers and even boaters either paddle, pedal, or motor right by them. All of these things are hard to find without a finder. So when you're fishing deeper water, it does make sense to own one and to have one with you. One of the main benefits of owning a fish finder is that a finder will help you to locate things that don't get fished a lot. So you're able to fish away from crowds, and that translates into you catching more fish and a lot of times bigger fish. Whether you need one or not, it really depends on where you spend your time fishing most, and also if you're going to put in the time to learn about the world beneath you. Because if you don't know some of the things that I mentioned, if you don't know these things, then a finder really isn't going to help you much. So you have to be dedicated. You have to want to learn more about what's underneath the water and what goes on under there, because there's a lot that goes on that we can't see. So I just want to say thanks for your time. I'm Trey with Louisiana Kayak Fishing Forecast and Kayak Fishing Louisiana. I help Louisiana anglers develop skills and place them in environments where fish are feeding. If you'd like to learn more about fishing coastal Louisiana, subscribe to the channel. And if you found this video helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Until next time.